Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive. You know we love to dig into the biggest business stories of the day, and today is no exception. We're cracking open the pasted text, the USA edition, Wednesday, October 9th. So let's see what we've got on the menu today.
A little business news buffet.
You know it. And we're starting off with a tech titan showdown. Google. They might be getting broken up. Can you believe that?
Wow, that's a big one. They've been in hot water for a while now with all this talk about monopolies.
Right. The U.S. Justice Department is really coming after them this time. They're saying Google has way too much power over online search and advertising.
And they're worried about what it means for competition and consumers in the long run.
Yeah, I mean, imagine a world without Google, right? Or at least without Google as we know it.
I mean, it's hard to even picture.
Right. Like, what if they had to sell off Chrome or even Android? That's what some people are saying could happen.
Talk about a game changer. Suddenly your phone's running on a whole new system. Your go-to browser is gone.
It's kind of mind-blowing when you think about it. I mean, Google's so embedded in our digital lives these days.
Absolutely. It would be like, I don't know, like if Microsoft had to break up back in the day.
Yeah, totally.
A real shakeup of the tech landscape.
For sure. And speaking of shakeups, let's move on to the stock market, shall we? Because things are getting pretty interesting over there, too.
Oh, is that right? What's going on?
Well, everyone's buzzing about the Federal Reserve and those mysterious Fed minutes.
Ah, yes, the Fed minutes. Always a nail-biter.
Right, they can really move the markets. And this time, there's a lot of speculation about what they might reveal.
Well, especially after that surprise rate cut last month.
0.5 percentage point. No one saw that coming.
It really threw everyone for a loop. Some analysts are saying it points to a weakening economy. Others think it was a strategic move by the Fed to get ahead of potential problems.
Yeah, it's like trying to read tea leaves. No one really knows for sure what it all means. So we'll all be watching those Fed minutes very closely. But let's shift gears again for a moment, because there's another big story we need to talk about. Rio Tinto just made a huge move in the lithium market. Like a massive deal. We're talking billions of dollars here.
Oh, wow. Really?
Tell me more. So they bought up this company called Arcadium Lithium for a cool $6.7 billion. That's billion with a B.
That's a serious chunk of change. They must be pretty bullish on lithium.
Oh, absolutely. And for good reason. Lithium is like the hot commodity right now.
Well, with the electric vehicle boom and all that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Everyone's trying to get their hands on lithium for those EV batteries.
And Rio Tinto just secured a major supply chain with this deal. We're talking big-name customers like Tesla, BMW, General Motors.
It's a power move for sure. They're positioning themselves to be major players in the EV market.
Smart move. The demand for lithium is only going to keep growing in the coming years.
No doubt about it. It's like a modern-day gold rush, but with lithium instead of gold.
I like that analogy.
Right. Everyone's vying for a piece of the pie. And it'll be interesting to see who comes out on top in this lithium race. And speaking of high stakes, you know what else caught my eye? This whole Boeing situation. It's getting kind of messy.
Oh, yeah, the striking workers.
Yeah, they actually just halted talks with the union. Can you believe that?
Wow, really?
Yeah, they even pulled their pay offer off the table.
It sounds like things are getting pretty tense over there.
They are. And it's been weeks now, this strike.
Yeah, you know, these things can really drag on. And it's not just about the workers on the company either. We're talking about the potential for some serious travel disruptions, production delays, maybe even higher airfares down the line.
It's true. It's like a ripple effect.
Exactly. Everyone feels it eventually.
And, you know, this whole thing has got Boeing in a tough spot financially. There are even rumors that they're thinking about raising billions of dollars, like through stock sales, just to avoid getting their credit rating downgraded.
Oh, wow. That's never a good sign. A credit rating downgrade can really hurt a company.
It's a big deal.
It means borrowing money gets way more expensive. Investors get spooked. It can be a real downward spiral.
Definitely not what they need right now,
Yeah,
especially with everything else going on.
for sure.
And speaking of pressure, let's move on to another story that caught my attention. This whole CVS and United Health lawsuit.
Oh, yeah. What's the latest with that?
Well, the Federal Trade Commission, the FTC, is suing them. They're saying CVS and United Health have been artificially inflating insulin prices.
Seriously, insulin. That's a pretty bold move by the FTC.
It is, right. And it brings up a whole other issue with these pharmacy benefit managers.
The PBMs, right.
Exactly.
I feel like most people don't even know what those are, let alone how they work.
It's true. They're kind of behind the scenes, but they have a huge impact. Basically, they're like the middlemen between the drug companies and us, the consumers.
So they're the ones negotiating prices and stuff.
Yeah, and deciding which drugs are covered by insurance plans.
So the FTC thinks they're manipulating those prices to their advantage.
That's their argument. And they're saying it's hurting consumers, especially those who rely on insulin.
That's a really tough one. Insulin is literally life-saving for some people.
Exactly, and it's outrageous how expensive it's become.
No kidding, the whole system is so complicated.
It really is, and to make matters worse, CVS and United Health are trying to get some of the FTC commissioners disqualified from the case.
Oh, really? Why is that?
They're claiming bias, saying these commissioners have already made up their minds.
That's interesting. I wonder if that'll work.
It's a long shot, but it just goes to show how high the stakes are in this case.
Absolutely. It'll be interesting to see how it all plays out.
Definitely one to watch. You know, it's kind of amazing how much power these big corporations have. I mean, we've been talking about Google, Boeing, now CVS and United Health. They all have such a huge impact on our lives.
It's true, and I think people are starting to realize that more and more these days. There's definitely a growing awareness of the influence these companies wield.
Yeah, and the government seems to be taking notice too. I mean, with all these antitrust lawsuits and investigations.
It feels like things are shifting a bit, wouldn't you say?
I think so. It's like the rules of the game are changing. And it'll be interesting to see how these companies adapt.
For sure. It's a whole new world out there.
It's like we're seeing this power struggle play out right in front of us.
Totally. And it makes you wonder what this all means for the average person.
Right. Like, what does it all mean for us?
Well, on the one hand, I think more scrutiny on these big companies could be a good thing.
Okay, how so?
Well, it could lead to more competition, right? Maybe fairer prices for consumers and just more choices in general.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But then again, there's always the flip side.
Which is?
Too much regulation and you risk stifling innovation. Companies might be less likely to take risks, to try new things, and that could end up hurting the economy in the long run.
It's like walking a tightrope, right?
Yeah.
Trying to find that balance.
Exactly. It's a delicate balance.
And then you throw in all the other stuff like the market uncertainty, the geopolitical risks, inflation worries. It's a lot.
It's a lot to keep track of, that's for sure.
It can feel overwhelming sometimes. You know?
Absolutely, I get it. But hey, that's why we do these deep dives, right?
To try and make sense of it all.
Exactly. Knowledge is power, as they say.
I like that.
The more informed we are, the better equipped we are to deal with whatever comes our way.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
So, as we wrap up here, any final thoughts for our listeners?
Well, I guess I just encourage everyone to stay curious, keep asking questions, don't be afraid to dig a little deeper into these stories.
And most importantly,
don't just accept things at face value. Think critically, form your own opinions.
Love it. Well said, my friend. Well said. And on that note, that's a wrap on today's deep dive. Thanks for joining us, everyone. We'll catch you next time for more business news and insights.